With most things in life, you start to realize that there are levels to that shit. And when it comes to the levels of depth of your furriness, it is by no means an exception. I've been a furry for about a decade now, which sounds pretty sad to say, but I've experienced every single level that I'm about to talk about, which has allowed me to see every side of furrydom from the absolute worst to the very greatest. You can use this as a guide to rank yourself, or to poke fun at friends that you think are a higher level than you. Anyways, here are the 7 levels of furriness, starting with level 1, the entryway. Here you got your very basic level furry. They pretty much don't know what the word means, but they know they exist while having no grasp of the community, culture, or content. The main thing that makes them a level 1 is that they can see a humanized animal, also known as an anthropomorphic character, and not hate it. So not actually a furry, but someone who likes cartoon animals for sure. Unlike people in level 2, the interest spark. At this point, you're aware enough about what a furry is and what they look like, and they've piqued some sort of interest for you. The neurons in your brain are lighting up to some degree, but you haven't done any research and your understanding is still quite surface level. But you might have ran into one on the internet, or the more unlikely, in real life. Unless you live in like Pittsburgh or like Rosemont or something like that. But while you're here, there are 2 paths you can go down. 1, to stay ignorant to what the fuzzies got going on, or 2, straight down to level 3. The dive. You, intrigued by mystery, not only want, but need to know what's going on with these fuzzballs in order to close that craving for closure in your head. Although nowadays, with how mainstream it is, it's definitely not that hard to figure out what they've got going on behind the scenes. Despite this level being called the dive, it's more of a tightrope kind of situation, the ultimate test of your character. Will you be satisfied with the closure you received and walk to the other end of the tightrope, or will you fall into the depths that we call level 4, the new you? You've plopped into a world of complete and utter unknown and are left to absorb everything you see. Your For You pages are full of furry this, furry that, and you've at least watched one furry convention video, and maybe even looked up if there's one in your location, but that's not a guarantee. Regardless of all of that, there are 2 archetypes that spawn from this level. Someone who is shaken up and utterly disgusted with themselves for being a part of something that they would deem weird, and someone who is ready to accept it as part of their identity. You there can go straight to level 5, but as for you, not just yet. The feeling you get is adjacent to some sort of identity crisis, and even feel guilty for liking what you're seeing. Secretly indulging while no one's around, or late at night, or with a support group of people that are detached from the identity that you want to keep afloat. You don't want to admit it because it doesn't align with the person you see yourself as, or the person you want to be, but you got flashbanged by furry ass once, and now your brain chemistry cannot go back. In due time, you'll meet up with that other fellow that we sent off to level 5. What? The real you. Here you've been surrounded by furries long enough to grasp it being a part of who you are to some degree. Not only are you consuming furry creations, but you yourself are creating in some way, or getting commissions of your personalized furry creature. This area is an insanely gray zone where a ton of closeted furries roam. Those who have conflicting identities or in positions of power, but are very secure in their liking for furrydom. They just don't want it to affect their life or public perception in any way. Either you have the urge to go to a furry convention if you haven't already, or have no interest in taking that step forward. Me personally, this is where I stood for the longest time. It's a pretty comfortable spot to be in, and there's no need to step any further to enjoy what the fandom has to offer. But with that being said, take a far enough step to the right and you're off into level 6, the deep end. Now that you're fully invested into your furriness, you don't mind setting aside time out of your year to plan for furry conventions, attend public fursuiting events, or even sharing your furriness for people on the outside to see. You've embraced the cringe and have fully aligned with your furry self. Either you have a fursuit of some sort, or you're a very easy read at the airport. And don't worry, you can still be on this level while caring about your public perception and remain in the closet. You're just walking on thin ice while being understanding of the consequences if people were to find out, and just still willing to take the risk just to be fuzzy. You cute bitch! And now you might be thinking, okay, so fursuit, conventions, furry friends, how do you really get deeper into furrydom? Level 7. No. Turning back. This level is a combination of everything I've talked about thus far. It's achieved by being a part of the fandom for long enough to have earned a veteran status of some sort, seeing and going through the worst of the community, and still being shamelessly proud of your furriness. Not only are you an enthusiast, but an advocate for furries, willing to make the fandom a better, safer, and more welcoming place for all. Those who built the foundation and pridefully greeting everyone who's walking through those doors. There's no set length of how long you had to be in the fandom to achieve this level, or honestly any of the levels for that matter. Being furry isn't anything more than just being aligned with the inner you and not caring about what anyone thinks, and just liking what you want to like. Or something like that. And that's a wrap for my interpretation of the 7 levels of furriness. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys soon, maybe.